Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 422 of the Juicebox Podcast. This episode is a little different in that I did something I don't normally do. I reached out to a virtual stranger and asked them to be on the show just based on something I saw in their social media posts. And I have to say that this episode did not in any way go the way I thought it would. And that led to this being the happiest surprise of 2021 for me. Wait till you meet Amy. I thought I was having Amy on the show to talk about her weight loss. And then I realized I didn't know the first thing about Amy. But by the time this was over, I knew about 40 things about Amy. And most of them led this to being another episode in the After Dark series. Amy's story is so eclectic that I didn't even know what to call this episode, which is why it ended up being called After Dark, Amy. Please remember while you're listening that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Please always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. There are going to be a lot of sensitive topics in this episode, so if you find yourself easily triggered by things like suicidal ideology, miscarriages, anxiety, I don't actually have a full list, but Amy's got a couple of things going on. But I'll tell you one thing about Amy that I'm 100% sure won't trigger you. She is 100,000,000,000% like really delightful. And she did this episode outside. So the Snow White fans here are going to be thrilled because there's a lot of birds in the background. And it's not something I normally would have went with, but Amy caught me by surprise and I just kind of fell in love with talking to her and I stopped caring about the birds. I hope you find them delightful, at least as delightful as I found Amy. Gvoke HypoPen has no visible needle and is the first pre-mixed auto-injector of glucagon for very low blood sugar in adults and kids with diabetes, ages 2 and above. Not only is Gvoke HypoPen simple to administer, but it's simple to learn more about. All you have to do is go to gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. Gvoke shouldn't be used in patients with insulinoma or pheochromocytoma. Visit gvokeglucagon.com/risk. Many of you may have been watching my blood sugars live online last week at juiceboxpodcast.com/CGM live. It's not live anymore. Actually, somebody else's blood sugar's up there now, a person with insulin resistance. Later, there'll be other people sharing their blood sugars and bolusing methods, and we're going to start getting into some type 1s in the new year. Anyway, I bring this up because I tested my blood sugar a lot over the last 10 days, checking it against the Dexcom G6 that I was wearing, and it was terrific. But I gained an even deeper love for the Contour Next One blood glucose meter during that time, because thus far, I had been telling you about my experiences using the meter for my daughter as a caregiver, talking about the bright light, easy to read, easy to hold, easy to transport, the great second chance test strips. Well, now I got to use it for myself, and I have to say, it performed exactly the way I was hoping it would. I stuck it in my pocket. It was easy to find in the dark. The light shone bright in the pale moonlight, and I was able to test my blood sugar with no trouble at all. Points if you sang deep in the heart of Texas after that. This meter is an industry leader in accuracy, and I hope that you check it out. It's at contournext.com/juicebox. There's links in the show notes, or you can just type in the URL. I really hope you give it a try. Too often, people get stuck with the meter that their doctor gives them, and that meter could just be, the one the salesman left in a drawer, or one that the doctor's just gotten accustomed to prescribing to people. Maybe your doctor hasn't looked into meter accuracy in a long time either, but there's no reason that you can't. Contour Next Juicebox. Check them out. Check out all the sponsors. It's the end of the year. Get festive. Go in those show notes and click around a little bit. Support the show. All right, guys. I put the ads up front so that you can just sit back and relax and soak in Amy. I'm recording now. Just so you know, let me just check that I have your voice correctly. Say anything.
Hi.
That was good. Okay, we are recording. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself any way you want to be known, and then we're going to start talking. But just so you know, I can hear the birds behind you, so you're just going to really be Snow White. Just so you know. It sounds like you have those little blue birds flying behind you. It's very nice, actually. I'm finding it relaxing. But go ahead. Introduce yourself.
So I'm Amy. I'm just here today. And I'm a type 1 diabetic. So, yeah.
Amy, you got on the show unlike the way most people do. I don't usually reach out to people, but I want to tell people what happened. So I sent you a message. You follow me on Instagram. And
yes, I do.
So I just kind of assumed you listen to the podcast. And so I sent you a message. I'm like, hey, I don't know if you listen to the podcast, but I'd like to have you on. And you responded back with like, no. You were so like, it was funny because do you listen to the podcast? And you said no. And I was like, oh, this is defeating. I was like, okay, never mind. I'm gonna marshal on here and see if I can get through. But the reason I reached out to you and what I want to learn about today, among other things, is that, you know, it's weird when thousands and thousands of people like follow you on Instagram and then you follow them back. And I used to do that and really enjoyed it, but then Instagram capped me and I can't seem to follow more people, which I hate because I like seeing what everyone's doing, but I don't know everybody when it's that many people. But you would go by in my feed and confuse me because you're in your photos, and I hope you take this well. I hope you really mean I take this the way I intended. It appeared to me like there were two separate people in your photographs.
Like, I get that a lot.
Okay. All right. And it was confusing as you're kind of whipping by and trying to keep up with all these people. And I just was like, this is strange. So one day, and I hope you take this the right way, you have a really pretty face. So I stopped longer. And I was like, hold on, what's happening here? And I started picking through. You've lost an insane amount of weight, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I've lost like over 156 pounds.
Jesus, that's a person. Okay, this is what I want to know about. All right, let's start slow. How old were you when you were diagnosed?
I was actually 23.
Okay, so, and how old are you now? You can't be that much older than that.
No, 28.
All right, okay. So 5 years ago, diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Do you mind giving context? Like when you were 23, how much did you weigh?
365 pounds around there. That was like the last time I weighed myself.
Okay.
I just graduated college, so I was at my biggest.
Did college add to it greatly,
No.
or just kind of continued?
No, I just actually kind of always been a big girl around that point, and then pretty much it kind of continued a little bit, but I think like around that time, yeah, I just was that much, and I was trying to lose weight and was down on myself.
How tall are you?
5'11".
5'11". Okay. All right. Big people in your family, or no?
No, it's actually kind of weird because my dad, he used to be a big guy before he married my mom, and then he actually lost a lot of weight after he was like 30, and then my mom's kind of like just overweight a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But my sister, she's a bigger girl, but she could be like a plus size model, like. So it was like kind of that. So everybody else in my family is pretty much kind of like fit and everything, like my cousins and my uncles and aunts and stuff like that.
So now that you've lost weight, can you tell me like what led to it? Was it just eating habits or nutrition?
So a little bit was eating habits. We'll probably go back to like when I kind of first got diagnosed, because I was at my biggest. I actually was misdiagnosed as type 2 diabetic.
Okay.
And then I had all these doctors tell me, hey, you need to lose 14% your body weight. You won't need insulin. You'll be good. It was 14%, like to the point where I was crying because I didn't want to be a diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was my fault. I was so big. And I got to the point where I did lose that 14%. I got down to 300 pounds and my insulin actually increased. So from there, the doctors were still yelling at me and I was still a type 2 diabetic. I actually ended up getting an eating disorder.
Trying to lose the weight.
Trying to lose the weight, which I didn't even know anything of. But I figured out, hey, if I just keep not taking my insulin and my medications that I'm not supposed to, because I also was on metformin, I was losing weight like crazy. And then I actually got down to about 290, and I actually went in DKA, and I actually went out to a facility for my eating disorder treatment because I was to the point where I was killing myself every day.
Did you find that the need to lose weight over, like it made everything else not important? Were you just like solely focused on that? And if not taking this medication was doing it, then that's what you were going to do?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, to me, it was the doctors yelling inside my head, like, you need to lose the weight so you won't be on insulin. You need to lose weight so you get off this. So like, I was like trying to be so persistent on not being a diabetic. Also, I was like, okay, we're going to get this weight loss off. And if I can do it this way, then I'll do it this way. Oh. But when I reached out, so when I reached out to Minnesota and then I went to their eating disorder treatment center, they actually retested me, and then I turned out to be a type 1 diabetic. Yes.
So am I right to say that in the back of your mind, you thought, it doesn't matter if I don't take this medication, if it's going to lead to the weight loss, I'm not going to have diabetes when it's over anyway. Was that?
Yeah. That was when I was like, thought I was type 2, because everybody's like, yeah, because, if you just eat and then take your medication, you'll be fine. So I was like, all right, well, let's just do this. But then after I found out I was like a type 1, everything just made more sense to me. And then my eating habits has changed. My physical fitness has changed and stuff like that. So after that, I started gradually losing weight. But then at the same time, I did relapse towards my eating disorder, which was not good. But I did lose a couple more. I think I lost about 30 pounds then. And then, but I was sick. I actually was in the hospital 13 times that year.
Yeah.
So I just felt horrible. And then, so I got back on track. I found a job that I love. And I don't want to mess it up.
Right.
So lately I just been keeping track of what I've been eating and exercising, and my job is very demanding. So it actually really helps out.
So the job's almost like exercise for you, or it is?
All day.
Yeah. That's excellent. I need a job like that. Sitting in this chair is not good for me. I can tell you that much. I feel that some days I record, like today I'm recording twice, and there is this part of me that's like thinking like, you got to get up and get moving when this is over. Like you can't just, because I want to edit a show now. And if I do that, I'll roll from 2 recordings to editing, and I'll be in here for 6 hours before I know it, and then the day's gone and it's not good for you. So I have a lot of questions. I don't know how to order them yet. So I'm going to feel my way through this. I'm sorry.
You are good.
Okay, great. So are you around 200 pounds now?
I am actually 220 right now.
220. I guess your height helps because your photos, like if you made me guess your weight, there's no way I would have gone there. Like with that, not that there's anything, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying you don't visually. And I wonder if that's a problem, because I've had that before where people tell you like you carry your weight well. So you just think, well, if I don't look heavier, then I don't care. Like I've had that feeling before too. But I guess I want to know first, you just stopped eating to lose those first like 65 pounds and get yourself to 300. There was no.
I ate more,
but didn't take the medication. So you drove your blood sugar up to lose the weight.
Yes. Yes. I ate more than anything. And then everybody asked me, how do you lose your weight? And I usually say, I just ate more. They don't usually understand, but
that's not an Instagram motivation. How did you lose 65 pounds? I ate more food. You guys are all doing it wrong.
Technically, I do it now still, but it's because I know what to eat, when to eat, and like I don't starve myself. So
have the things that you're eating changed?
Oh, like what I eat? Oh, definitely. So
Yeah.
I remember, so my mom's a nurse. So I remember when I texted her, I used to work in a restaurant, and I texted her when I was like almost being diagnosed. I texted her me drinking a pitcher of water, and she's like, Aim, when's the last time you checked your blood sugar? And I said, I don't know. It was during hunting season. I was, when diabetics get high, they pee all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't hold it during hunting season. So I went to my mom's on lunch, and she's like, test your blood sugar. And I tested it, and she had this ghost face on her. So the one thing I've noticed is actually I drink a lot more diet, and I drink a lot more water than anything, even if it's like flavored water.
Yeah.
So I don't drink seltzers. I don't know. No.
You feel like I have to be honest with you. I drink water and like unsweetened tea a lot. That's pretty much, I'm sure I'm going to get like some like crazy kidney stone one day. It's just going to come flying out and kill me. But I don't drink a whole lot else. And so wait, you're a hunter. I've seen you on your Instagram with a bow. Do you just bow hunt?
Oh, no, I bow and rifle hunt.
Okay. Are you
within,
don't tell me the town you live in, but where in the country do you live?
I live on the border of New York and Pennsylvania.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
So that's sort of the, I see. So you're more like north. Well, not really. Like
no, I'm like
Western
central New York.
Oh, okay.
Central New York.
Okay.
Central middle, in the middle borderline.
Interesting. Okay. So hunting's a big deal around like where you live, and something. How did you get into it?
So I actually, most of my family actually hunted. And I was actually jealous because my cousin always hunted with my uncle. Mm-hmm. And then I just ended up finding a boyfriend that hunted, and then I got into it. So, because I always wanted to do it. Because nobody in my family, like my mom or my dad, didn't do it. So I actually got in it that way. Bow hunting was actually kind of my own thing, mm-hmm. because I thought it was more of a challenge. So I loved it. But even then I had a weight problem because, tree stands have a weight limit. So
you literally couldn't get into a tree stand? Like you weren't allowed to be it?
Yeah, because like the weight limit was, I think they're like some of them are 150, and then some of them are 250, and then some of them are like 300.
That would really add insult to injury if you were 365 pounds and you fell out of a tree stand. You'd just probably lay on the ground and go, okay, I'm just gonna die here, I guess. Like I give up. But it's really, first of all, listen, we can't overlook it. To amass 365 pounds in 23 years is in and of itself some sort of an accomplishment, to be perfectly honest. Like that is not, I don't think that was easy to do. Were you just eating constantly everything? Was it calories? Like how did that manifest for you?
I think because when I was a kid, I actually was very active. I played sports all the time, all 4 seasons. And then I think I actually, like when I went to treatment, I really like suppressed so much. And I found out that one of them was that after my parents divorced, I stopped doing sports, and all I did was eat. I go to my dad's on the weekend, eat junk food. Yeah. My mom, just easiest meal for a single mom is like spaghetti. That's all I ate. Right. I hate red sauce to this day.
So you just think that the dissolving of your parents' marriage just threw you into a depression, or?
I think a little bit depression because I did go to therapy, but I thought also because when you're at like 10 years old, you can't control your diet.
Right.
So your parents are the ones who feed you. So I actually kind of reflect on that because I remember the first stretch mark I ever got. I was like, oh, it's no big deal. Like I was freaking out, but I was like, okay, it's no big deal. Because I was like, it was that changing period for every human. Yeah. So I remember I ate like cans of frosting and stuff like that. And like, it was just what it was. Like I drank so much soda and stuff like that. And I think it just accumulated slowly. So it really does reflect. Like today, I eat more protein than anything. I actually do not like bread that much. I really don't. Only if it's like garlic bread and Alfredo, because that is my carb choice.
Sounds good.
But it's amazing. We got some pretty good Italian restaurants around here. So that I pretty much, like looking back, that's how I looked at it, because I still was active. I always was active. I still played basketball. I played football, cheerleading, golf, track in high school. So I did all that. I rode my bike around like from one town to another, and I still couldn't lose the weight. Like it was just still there. But I think as much as I was pushing out for calories, I was pretty much taking in double.
Right. So you could be as active as you wanted to be. There would be no way to get rid of all the calories that you had taken in. That's
yes.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, weight loss it's calories, right? Like it's not much more than that. It's calories, activity, hydration. I don't think there's a big secret to how people gain and lose weight, aside from people who have actual medical conditions where those factors end up not impacting them the way they should. But for most of us, it's just that. Do you do any like intermittent fasting now, or do you have any like other ways that you try to maintain or go? Are you trying to get lesser? Are you trying to lose weight?
Actually, I'm still trying to lose weight. I actually did get down to 200. I was super comfortable then. I'll tell you one thing, when you go from like 300 pounds down to the 200 level, buying clothes is so much more enjoyable. I have too many clothes now. I have like 2 closets full. It's so much more enjoyable because you can actually like fit into things and actually enjoy it. So because I did gain a little bit of weight, I'm trying to lose it, but I'm doing it the healthy way. During work, my work schedule is crazy. So I work from like 12:30 to 9 all day, going in and out of customers' house, climbing poles and stuff like that. So sometimes I don't even get a lunch. Sometimes, so pretty much usually I fast. I usually do, for the first couple hours of the day. And then usually I come home and I eat when I come at night. Usually it's not by choice. On weekends, I really just go not full blown, but I usually eat regular. Like church on Sunday, I get breakfast, I go get lunch, I get dinner with the family and stuff like that. So
that's kind of your big day. Like Sunday's your big day, and then it's
Sundays. Yeah, Sunday's my big day.
Gotcha.
I love my Sunday.
Well, listen, if you're gonna have Alfredo sauce and garlic knots and things, I don't see how we're gonna say no to that. How do you manage your type 1 now? Are you pumping? Do you have a glucose monitor? Do you have anything like that?
Yes, I am. I actually have the G6 and I'm on the T-Slim. So that is how I'm keeping track of everything.
Nice.
I was on some other things. I was on the Omnipod, but I kept with my job, I kept pulling my pump off, which was annoying because then it starts screaming and stuff.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. So you couldn't find a place for it that worked for you, that wasn't in the way while you were working?
Yeah, because sometimes I crawl up in attics and then I crawl under houses and then crawl spaces and stuff like that. So I'm like at every single angle possible. And then even when it was on like around my belly and around my, like anywhere, especially on my belly, I had like my tool belt and my climbing belt. So sometimes they would yank and pull off. So I ended up going to T-Slim because I don't know, I feel a little bit more freedom. I know a lot of people say they feel a lot of freedom with the Omnipod, which I kind of did when I was at my previous job. But at this job, I feel more freedom with a pump. You're
able to like hide it differently because the set and...
Yeah, it really depends how long my tubing is. Right. So like sometimes it's just in my pocket, and then I get customers that ask me like what it is, and then I had like a lady yesterday say, "Oh, is that the G6?" And then they're like, "Oh, I thought you only could put that in your stomach." And I said, "Well, I said you're only supposed to, but there's pages out there that like some people do other places and had good ratings." And I said, "This is one of my best ratings because it's on my forum."
Right.
And so I love it. And I even have like a tattoo that is actually the molecule for insulin.
I saw that. Is it on your right? Look, this is going to get creepy. I know too much about you. Is that on your right
arm? No, my left arm.
Left arm? Oh, the thing gets flipped. We're all backwards on Instagram. I hope everyone realizes that. Everybody's been mirrored. I was watching, I don't know if you know the comedian Dion Cole, but he's been, during the coronavirus thing, he's been DJing on his Instagram Live, and it pops up in front of me sometimes. But it always freaks me out because he's got something on the back behind him. It's a sign. It says like DionCole.com or something like that, but it's backwards. And it always catches my eye. And I'm like, oh, that's right. We're all flipped around backwards in our cameras. But yeah, I saw you. So it's a big tattoo. The molecule, like you have the whole molecule out like on the top of your forearm, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not the whole molecule. If you look up the whole molecule, it's pretty long, but it's pretty much the basic one of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I saw you mention, so there's a couple of things that I've been paying closer attention to you now because I knew I was going to talk to you than I normally would. So just don't feel too creeped out. But you
I already do. It's fine.
no, great. So it's your fault. You've lost all the weight. It's not me. I didn't do it. So sometimes you talk about anxiety, but moreover, I see you talk about being uncomfortable with the loose skin that you have now. And first of all, in my opinion is meaningless to you. You're really a beautiful person. So
thank you.
I know you shouldn't, like, it doesn't matter what other people think, etc. But, you know, I'm trying to find out what that's like. Like, you've lost so much weight. How much skin do you have that you need to do something with? And what's the play there? Like, what do you do?
Okay. So I actually talked to my doctor about the surgery of getting, it's a podectomy or something like that, which the bottom half, which is like past your pelvic bone, below your belly button. And he said we're gonna have to wait a little bit because I do have a lot of anxiety and stuff. So he wants to get that all controlled first before we do that.
Okay.
But other than that, he really doesn't want to do anything about it.
Does he think it's going to shrink up on its own?
He said if you want to do something, I should not worry about it and just try to deal with it.
Okay.
He said that I would have to go see a plastic surgeon myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to look into that and see how much that's going to cost because I kind of really want it done. It's not because it's like it's a little bit, it is an image issue.
Okay.
Because I know people, like I used to wear a bikini. I was like body positivity around like 290 and I wore a bikini at a theme park and I was like, you know what? I don't care. It's like the 2000s. We can do anything we want these days. But I still get those concerning looks. Like if I go to a hotel room or something like that has like a pool or a private setting and people just look at me. And I think and then I had some comments like, you shouldn't be wearing those stuff, especially around like certain kind of people. And I'm like, okay.
Is that the kind of people that you're talking about?
Well, like they're like some people like they're all, you shouldn't wear that around like your coworkers or your stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, like I'm like I don't think they really care. I know some people probably think, oh, why is she doing that, stuff like that. And it kind of, a little bit of it I don't like because it just hangs and it does bother me. But at the same time, there's a little bit of body positivity in me. But at the same time, it's like, I really just want this gone. And then plus, I think a lot of it, my doctor told me that it's probably like about 15 pounds of loose skin, 15 to 20 pounds of loose skin.
Right. And you
so
can't
then
lose
I'd be
the
like,
skin. So is it shrinking at all or no?
Some places it has like I think because I was big for so long, it's not going anywhere. It's not like I got big and then went back down. It's like because I was big for most of the part of my, well, not even most part of my life, but like my teenage years and stuff like that, when your body is pretty much in their growth rate.
Yeah.
So pretty much like my legs, my arms aren't too bad. It's actually around like my back and then like pretty much my abdominal and my lower abdominal and like my upper back is usually where everything I want to get done.
It's astonishing. Like are you cool if people check you out on Instagram, or do you want to mention your handle, or no? It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, definitely.
So what is it? How do they find you?
So my Instagram, I didn't know.
Oh, you're breaking up. Don't say it now. Hold on a second. Your audio broke up. Don't say it now.
Would you?
There you go. You're back.
All right. So my Instagram, I know
I'm looking it up.
Yeah,
now.
rugged. It's rugged warrior. Rugged.warrior.
Rugged.warrior. And
yeah,
what you did is, I know it didn't start out the right way, but I guess the focus on not wanting to, do you think that was the case? Do you think if you would have found out you had type 1 diabetes immediately, do you think you'd still be bigger?
No, I don't. Actually, I really don't, because actually a couple months ago, I went to a doctor and they're like, we're going to retest you, because I had severe lows. I was in the hospital for a week because I couldn't stay above 40. I literally 2 days, I was eating everything I could, to the point that I was like, all right, I need I just need food. And I got to the point where I was like, I can't do this no more. We have to go to the emergency room. And I remember I was getting the sugar shots, the glucose thick shots. I don't even know what they're called. I got 7 of those within 4 hours. So one, my veins hurt. And then they're like, we're going to retest you because we don't think you're a type 1. And then I guess they did the one test again. And then they did like an insulin in your body test. And I guess that came back like, I don't even know, I think low or something like that.
Okay.
So then they were like, okay, so we don't know what's going on here, but we think you're a type 2. And I literally cried because I was like, this is my fault. I am big because of like all this, but in my head, I'm like, I lost all this weight and I'm still on insulin. This is just a weird week. I said, I'm still on insulin. I said, I still have like today. I still have to count my carbs. I still have my G6. Like my endocrinologist knows. I was at a different hospital, so they tested me, and then it was just weird. And I literally just broke down in tears because I thought it was my fault again. Because everybody.
Maybe you were just honeymooning. Yeah. Maybe you were just maybe your pancreas just kicked back in for a little bit during that. Happens to people. I have no idea what happened. It was last year and I have no idea what happened. Like I was like, they're like, oh no, you're a type 2. I was like, no, I'm not. I've been through this already. Damn it. Leave me alone. You mentioned anxiety a second ago. Has that been a lifelong thing or is that since your parents' divorce?
No, actually it's kind of been recent. I had, it actually kind of got worse since I've been diagnosed. To the point where I'm actually on medication for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, since I got diagnosed, I have been taking anxiety and doing like DBT skills and stuff like that I've learned in the past couple of years. So, and I am a true believer that managing your blood sugar does affect your hormones in every single way. Like even if you're angry, sad, or anything like that. I truly do believe, because when my sugar was high all the time, I was having panic attacks left and right, and I was crying all the time, and I was like angry, and I was sick, and everything like that. So,
does the anxiety stick with you no matter what your blood sugar is?
So if it's high, I am freaking out every 2 seconds. Like it's not because I just my boyfriend can tell you that that's the case. My emotions are all out of whack. But when I'm usually stable between where I should be, I'm usually my life is awesome. It's kind of like having rose-colored glasses. Like if your sugar's out of whack, everything's just like seems all the colors go, and then when it's like right in perfect range, everything's just perfect, and you think your life is great.
I mean, you're really interesting. I do know that. Like there's a very like you keep saying things that make me feel like they would come from a different person, but they're all within you, which I think is great. Like I didn't mean to gloss over it earlier, but you're climbing through basements and attics and up poles. Are you installing some sort of utility?
Yeah. So okay. I'm a cable technician.
Okay. All right. So that at least makes sense. I'm like, why is she in people's basements? And poles.
Just to creep people out.
Hi, it's me. You may know me from Instagram. I've lost a lot of weight and I'm in your basement now. No, I figured that was what was going on. Is it scary to climb a pole without a CGM? Like, is it like, it's an interesting paradox that you're an anxious person, but at the top of a telephone pole. Does that not make you anxious?
I get this so much.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't make any sense, Amy, but go ahead.
I love heights. Top of telephone pole, and usually like even when I didn't have my CGM, I was totally fine. Because I didn't really give a crap at that time.
Well, your blood sugar was probably really high, it wasn't low ever, I would imagine.
Yeah, it wasn't low.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't low. The only time was when I had that week and I was out of work for a little bit, because they didn't want me climbing poles or driving. But other than that, no, I love heights. I really do. I actually love skydiving. Actually, that as soon as I got to the weight, I went down and I jumped, and everybody's, aren't you scared? I said, no, I've been waiting for this since I was 18. And I was the happiest person. I did not hesitate one bit. I'm so glad that this Corona thing's starting to lift, because they have opened up and I'm going to go again. And I was mad because they actually canceled the Halo jump, which is like it's like 23,000 feet and you jump with an oxygen tank up in there.
What the hell?
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then they got canceled because of the whole Corona thing. So,
right.
But I am so excited to go jump again. I love heights. It's one of my favorite things.
Well, that's astonishing. But I want to dig into it a little bit for a second. So your anxiety is it more personal? And how did you manage it before the medication?
So I didn't manage it. I was actually self-mutilating. It wasn't because I wanted to die. It was more of it stopped everything rushing in my head.
You were cutting?
I was cutting.
Okay. All right. I have more context on that. I don't know if you heard, I know you don't listen to the podcast, Amy. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But we had a self-harm episode recently with a person who also cut, so now that you're talking, it makes more sense to me than it would have the first time. Your story, if I heard it the first time, I would have been like, no, wait, what? But now I know how it goes for some people. So I'm a little more educated around it now. So anxiety starts in your teens, right?
Yeah, I didn't really have much. Life was okay. I would say okay. High school wasn't bad. I lived in a small town, small school, so everybody knows everybody. You're friends with the popular kids all the way down to the non-popular kids. Yeah. And I was kind of popular because I played football and everybody kind of looked up to me. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool, but other than that, just my living situation wasn't the best. So that was a little bit part of my anxiety, but I'm like one of those people that's a very independent person.
Yeah.
I try to do things by myself and I kind of don't reach out for help if I don't need it. I'm learning a different way, but yeah. So, but like I said, my anxiety didn't start until I became type 1 and those doctors were just telling me, you have to lose weight, I'm not, till this day, I still have, if I start gaining weight, I still have those doctors in my head and I have to tell myself, this isn't my fault. Yeah. It's an autoimmune disease. You're fine. You can gain 10, 20 pounds here and there. Maybe it was a big barbecue weekend. I ate tons of cake and ice cream and meat and regular soda. And then, so I literally have to tell myself all this stuff and just be just give it another week. You'll be okay.
Okay. Well, that's, I just, cause it's going to stick in my head if I don't ask. Organized football, for high school or with friends? Yeah. You played on the high school football team?
Yes, I did.
What position?
Tackle, guard, and tight end.
No kidding. Nice soft hands. You can catch a ball, and guys were okay hitting you. Did you ever did people ever not want to hit you?
There was no. I don't know. Once you put that helmet on, I don't think they knew who they were up against. But I know a couple guys on my team didn't want me there, and they laid me out during practice sometimes. I remember the coach yelling at them. But no, other than that, I had a blast. What they say, being on high school, something that they usually tell boys is something that it's the best time in your life. This is going to be the most memorable thing. And it is. I mean, it was amazing. So I'm glad I got to experience it. It was one in a lifetime thing that I do not regret.
Cool. No, I wouldn't think you would regret it. It's just that I keep wondering how much longer I would have to talk to you before you'd say something else that I didn't expect. So because for clarity so far, think about it. You're 28 years old. In those 28 years, it sounds like you've survived a divorce that wasn't particularly fun for the child. You gained your weight was 365 pounds. You've lost 160 pounds of it. You found out you had type 2 diabetes. You didn't have type 2 diabetes. You found out you had type 1 diabetes. You climbed poles for a living. You like to jump out of airplanes, and you played football in high school. What else don't we know about you? Did we get to it all?
No, that's not half of it. That's just half of it. Everybody says I should be writing a book, but that's
Well, holy crap. I was like, wait, what did she just say? And, I'm trying to figure out, oh my God. And you live, by the way, your internet connection flies in and out every once in a while, which don't worry about it. Like, I'm living through it because I'm just like, I'm not telling her that I can't hear her. Because your voice slows down. Like, but you live you're in the woods, right? Are you not?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You should get a cable company to bring in a better signal for you.
Listen, I get free internet and I can't even get cable to my house. I have to have satellite.
Yeah, if only you knew somebody. All right. Boyfriend. You mentioned a boyfriend. How long have you been with this guy that you're with now?
This is the complicated part of the whole thing. So I actually live with my boyfriend, and then I live with ex-fiance.
Hold on. Your voice broke up, and we're not losing this. Hold on, let's get you back for a second. Hold on a second. We're not missing this. Okay, let's take a breath. You have.
Okay.
All right, you're still breaking up.
What about now?
Hold on a
second.
Am I? Try it now. Say testing.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me walk to the folder.
Yeah, keep
hold on. Oh, now. Am I good?
Yeah. Stay on the microphone.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You're with your boyfriend who sounds like you've had for a while.
Actually, our 1 year anniversary is going to be 28th.
Okay. So you've been with this guy for a year, but you live with an ex-fiance?
Yep.
Okay. Hold on. Just wait. Does the boyfriend live with you too?
Yep.
Okay. So you, your boyfriend, and your ex-fiance live together. Let's keep talking. This might turn into an After Dark episode. It's fine if it does. Are we like a throuple? No. Okay.
No.
So there's no fun stuff between all three.
No.
Okay.
So my pretty much me and my ex-fiance just kind of grew out of our sexual love interest with each other.
By the way, every married person is laughing, going, yeah, me too. But go ahead.
So, well, no, he's like my best friend. He has been, we've been pretty much, I would say we were dating for about 6 years.
Okay.
We did get engaged, but we never got married. It was just, it never happened. I mean, we never were in a financial state to get married. We were always too busy and stuff like that. But he's my best friend to this day. If anything, if I'm having an anxiety attack, it sounds so bad because I have a boyfriend. If I'm having an anxiety attack or if something's going wrong or we still have our dogs, something wrong with our dogs, or if I forgot something, I'll call him. He is literally my best friend. Okay. He actually is training my boyfriend how to take care of me. And it's the greatest thing because my boyfriend would call him and be like, what does Amy like on her pizza? Or what would Amy like this? Like everything. Or like Amy's like panicking. I don't know what to do. Can you come over? So it's like, this is like before we lived together. And he's like, can you come over? And stuff like that. So, but they get along great. They hang out. So there's nothing, they never fought or anything. And it's been a year. So yeah, it's pretty.
Were you with him at all weights, the fiance? Like, were you 365 with him and 200?
Yes. So he's been like with me like since I got diagnosed, and then he knows my eating disorder. He knows if when I'm like my ketones are high or I'm not feeling good, and he knows when I'm low, and I don't even have to tell him, and he's like, are you feeling okay? And then he'll just go grab he won't look at the CGM. Well, sometimes he will, but he'll go grab my poker also because, sometimes that can be off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And he'll test me and stuff like that. My boyfriend doesn't do that. He's getting there.
Oh, don't worry. Well, your fiance will get your boyfriend trained and then you'll be fine. And there's a sentence I never thought I would speak out loud, but it's fine. That's very, first of all, that's incredibly progressive. And I like that you're still friendly with a person who means something to you. And I hear that. So, that's cool. Did he prefer, this is such a weird question, but sexually, did he prefer you bigger? Or
he said he loved me any single way.
That's
like
lovely.
he told me, yeah, that is a lovely thing.
Nice. That's
it
excellent.
Really is.
I don't see why he wouldn't. I'm just wondering if like now I was like literally thinking was there Like, did he have a fetish? And then he was like, you lost weight and he was like, oh no, forget it now. If you're going to be 200 pounds, like I'm out on this. But no, you guys were together, like in your minds and your hearts. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still today, like he's my family. Like I really don't have any family out here, even though my family's from here. But some have passed. My mom moved to Arizona. My sister doesn't really talk to me because she's up her boyfriend's butt. And so, pretty much so we've been through everything, like financial struggles, to like me getting diagnosed and other illnesses and stuff like that. So like we're tight.
It's listen, I'm not judging. I just did not expect you to say that. All right. Let's find something else to ask you about that you're going to say something I can't imagine. What is your A1C right now?
Oh no, I just got it back.
Okay.
It was a bad day. Actually, what was it? I go the first Monday of every month. It was 15.2.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, all right. So you have, now let's figure this out. Let's figure this part out.
Wait, can I tell you what my last A1C was?
Is it going to be like 4 and I'm going to be flipped out? What was it? Go ahead.
6.2.
You went from 6.2 to 15?
Yeah.
Was that eating cake and soda at a barbecue? Like that can't.
There was a lot of birthdays.
People have got to stop having birthdays, Amy. That's really the problem here. But no, there
was a lot of birthdays.
So that's super interesting because that's a fairly massive swing, like from like one quarter to the next. And so you know how to keep an A1C in the 6s. Like when you had it in the 6s, was it because of a lot of lows or was it you were doing things that were leading to like a stable 6?
All right, you ready for another surprise thing?
I don't think it's going to be a surprise at all, but go ahead, whatever you say. I'm
So when I was pregnant, my sugar stayed at a constant level with me barely taking any insulin.
Wait a minute. You have a kid? How come I don't know this?
I do not.
Wait.
That's why
it's
so surprising.
All right, go ahead. Tell that story. Go ahead.
I don't need to tell it. So I actually went, I was 23, 24 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had her. So then after that, things didn't work out, which is okay. I'm kind of a little glad because during my pregnancy, I couldn't take any of my mental medications, which I was going insane and I was doing self-mutilation again. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't be a mom. And then I was back and forth about having a kid. And, I was actually really suicidal too. And then I was having Pseudo-Seizures, which I don't know if you know what those are.
No.
Those are the ones. Yeah, they're not epileptic. I can't even say the word.
Epileptic. You screwed me up. I can say epilepsy, and now I can't say it. Epileptic.
Yeah. So they're not those seizures. Pseudo-seizures is actually when your mind gets like a bunch of chemical imbalances in that, and it shuts down. So then you have a seizure. So I was having tons of those. I wasn't having regular seizures at the point in my pregnancy. So my life, so I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything, even though I'm the kind of person that would kind of pull when I was pregnant. Some people might not like that, but I like to have a stable income.
Climbing a pole is what gets you pregnant, by the way. But I hear what you're saying. So so wait a minute. I feel like we're bouncing around from serious to lighthearted so much. I don't know what to say ever, but the pregnancy ended with a live birth or no?
No.
Okay.
No live birth.
All right.
I was at 24 weeks and she had a heart condition.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm sorry, first of all. But
it's okay.
But I hear what you're saying about the other stuff. So when you're pregnant, you can't take all those medications that are keeping you where you need to be with your anxiety and all that.
Yeah, even if I don't take my anxiety meds, usually I'm pretty good for the day. But every person says a pregnant lady is not who they really are because they're sometimes a monster.
I don't know who says that, Amy. I don't say that, and anybody who's listening would never hear me say that thing. My wife was completely normal the entire time she had children. Just so you know. That's all. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, let's keep going. Okay.
So I had like the extra hormones running through me, so everything was just super bad. But my sugar did stay in like the range the whole time with very little insulin. So that's why my last A1C was in the 6.5s.
Okay, so this was very recently. So this pregnancy is with your boyfriend. We're
Yes.
talking about. I gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm okay. I'm getting it. So
You
you're making me feel old, just in case you're wondering what's going on over here. I was like, I went to high school and I got out and I was like, that girl seems nice. And then I just, I don't know, I made a family.
No.
I was like, all right, let's go. But you're having more fun than I did, I think. But so okay. So pregnancy wasn't on purpose, I'm imagining.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Are we doing stuff now to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yes, I did. I got the IDU?
IUD.
Marina?
Right,
IUD, yeah.
Now I hear that's helpful with blood sugars, actually, because it keeps it's finding that, because what's been told to me is that keeps you from having a period. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of.
So, because there's hormones on it. Maybe it doesn't keep you from having a period, but there's hormones there.
It does keep, like, after like 6 months, you shouldn't have it no more. But
okay.
it does, like, the hormone thing. I don't know. I literally. So, another thing, while we're on this topic, I when I was a bigger girl, I used to never get them. I probably got one a year.
Okay.
One a year. So I was like, I ain't getting pregnant. Blah 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 blah. And I lost weight, and then I started getting regularly, which that means you're more healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I started to hate him. I didn't like him. I was like, this is the dumbest crap in the world.
Nature messed that up, if we're being honest.
I was like, why am I a girl? This is so dumb. I was like, I liked it that was like the one positive thing of being a bigger girl. Like, I was like,
no period.
Yeah.
I honestly, it's the worst idea. Like, it's the worst plan. Like, as somebody, like, I mean, whoever designed it is just, they weren't thinking. Yeah, there's a better way. So I was having unprotected sex. So I didn't think of anything of it. I really didn't. Mm-hmm. I was like, it's not gonna happen, because I was so used to not getting one. And then like a month went by, and I was like, oh, that's okay. And then I remember it was the end of July when it was conceived. Right. I went to the hospital for DKA August 2nd. Pregnancy came back negative. So I was like, okay, I'm good. September came around. Went to the hospital again. No, it was weird. I didn't even go to the hospital. I had an interview somewhere else, and I was like, I kept seeing babies everywhere. And I was like, I should go get a pregnancy test. And I did it. And I was like, oh. And then the first person I called was my ex-fiance. I didn't call my boyfriend. I guess.
I was like, I don't know what to do.
You said, listen, I hope you know something about babies, because you're going to have to teach my boyfriend about it. So, well, I mean, obviously none of those things were intended or went the way I guess anybody would hope for them. But
no.
But I mean, as long as if you take steps moving forward to stop that from happening, and get yourself, if you want to have a kid one day, you're going to have to think it through. Like, you're going to have a plan, because obviously just, hey, here we go isn't going to work out for you. So yeah, you're gonna have to know what you're doing when you want. Do you think you want kids one day, or is that not something you think about?
Still up in the air. This world's crazy. I don't know if I want to raise a kid, and at the same time, like, even before that, like, I was like up in the air about it. But like, I think now, since I hold her, I was like, I could do this. I could be a mom. And I think the next time, if I do get pregnant and I'm like off my medications and stuff like that, I will remember that moment. Right. Like, I can do this. And it's actually quite interesting. I'm kind of glad that I kind of went through it, because there's so many extra steps that a type 1 diabetic has to do. To even before you get pregnant, like, your A1Cs need to be in range, your sugar, not even just your A1Cs, like, your sugars need to be like super, because like, you can have a 400 one day and then like and still have a good A1C. Your sugars have to be like in line all the time, even before you get pregnant, like about 6 months, to have a healthy pregnancy throughout. So I'm glad that I know that now, because like my blood sugars were a little bit high before that, because my A1C was like 10.6. And they said that could have caused the heart problems.
Okay.
So I kind of feel bad that it was my fault that I couldn't bring a beautiful person into this world. But at the same time, now I know for next time.
You really didn't know, right? Like all that stuff is a little lost. I mean, everybody doesn't get great, information when they're diagnosed, and some people do and some people don't. I don't know that that's anyone's fault. Sometimes it's where you live or the kind of insurance you have. There's all kinds of reasons why it varies around. I'm going to say something to you. I don't usually pitch my own show to people, but because you haven't listened, I'm going to give you a link to something, and I'm going to see how interested you are. But there's a grouping of episodes within this podcast. They're called like Diabetes Pro Tip. And I think if you listen through them, I don't think your A1C will ever be 15 again. So, and it's not about restricting food or anything like that. It's just about understanding how insulin works. And you have the right tools to do it with a pump and that glucose monitor. That CGM is a quality device. So you'll be able to.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. So I will give it to you when we're done. I'll send it to you. But it's just diabetesprotip.com. That way you don't have to listen to the whole podcast. You can just kind of hit some of that. I think that might be helpful. The anxiety part, though, it's involved in everything. And I don't know that people understand that, because everybody gets anxious sometimes, but the difference between anxiety that needs to be medicated and not, like, I now understand better from talking to someone else that it can hit you out of nowhere and cripple you. Right. And then the pain is just, it's massive. And prior to, I guess, the anxiety medication, everything, I didn't understand cutting until someone really explained it to me, but it's a relief in a weird way. Right. And have you done that recently, or do you not do that any longer, or what's the status of that?
The last time I did it was when I was pregnant, because I was freaking out. So, I mean, but before that, I think it was about a year and a half ago.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So, but I was getting medicated for my ADHD and ADD. So, and my doctor's like, let's throw these out and let's try anxiety meds. So that's what we did. And I'm so much better now. The thing is, I think the big part of it is like, even though like you totally understand it, and then you get to that point where you want to cut and everything. It sucks when you're having an anxiety attack and then you're getting upset that you're having an anxiety attack, because you're like, this is not the place and time to be doing this right now. So then it just gets even worse, and you're like trying to calm down and you can't really do anything. Like, actually, the last panic attack I had was actually a couple weeks ago in Walmart. And I don't know why. I think I had a little bit that I was noticing all the shelves were getting super low again, and it wasn't being explained. Like, I don't know how everybody else's world is, but out here, like, there was no TVs on the shelves, there was no game systems, there was no like food, baby stuff was low, everything. And this is only a couple weeks ago. We're kind of coming out of the COVID stuff, so I was like, what is going on? And then I actually was walking down an aisle and I said, oh, what should I eat? And I said I should get something healthy. And then I was down like a snack aisle that had all these snacks. I said, and I was in my mind saying, no to all this food. And I was getting anxious about that. And I literally got to the end of the frozen food aisle, squatted down, and like started bawling my eyes out. And I called my ex-fiance, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I am like freaking out right now. And then the Walmart employees helped me. And it was a whole deal. Like, I haven't had one since I was pregnant, even though it was like recently, but it was like earlier in my pregnancy. And it just sucked because I was good. And it really does.
I think that it's visual, right? And there are things that you just expect to be there. And then when all of a sudden they're not there, and then more and more things disappear. Like, okay, like in the beginning, you think, oh, people are hoarding food. That makes sense. Toilet paper, like, I understand that people are doing that. But when a television disappears, you're like, wait a minute, where are the PlayStations at? Like, why is everything gone? And it feels, I can see how it would make you feel it, because I've had that thought too. I've walked through the store and thought, supply is really low on a lot of things. One of the strangest things is you can't buy a flower pot anywhere. I know that's a weird thing, but you can't find a flower pot. And I'm like, did COVID-19 hit the flower pot industry extra hard? Like very interesting thing. But then I don't have anxiety, so then I just notice it and I move on. but
no. So I think
yours
the one
builds.
thing that did give me anxiety, the one thing I think that did give me anxiety. So I'm in a great financial position. I'm really good. I love my job. It's really good. I have a place out in the country. And then, so I was like, the last 4 years, I was like, I'm going to get a pool. I'm going to get a pool. I'm going to get a pool. I was like, all right, finally I have enough money. I can just go out, buy a pool whenever I want. I cannot. And I don't know if any other diabetics are like this. I hate summer. It hurts. I don't know why. Since I've been diagnosed, I cannot stand the heat, even though I'm outside all day. I'm glad I can go into my air conditioned van when I need to, but like it bothers my skin. Like I don't like it. I get angry. I know some people just like get angry when they're hot, but it really is a very discomfort feeling past like 78 degrees. So I need that. I was like, I'm going to get a pool so I can just come home and just go in the pool or right before work. And I can't find a pool anywhere. And then if you do look for a pool, they are price gouged so much. Like a normal pool that would cost like $350 is like almost $1,000.
Okay.
And I was like, nah, not going to do that. Not going to do that.
Well, I have to ask, have you ever had your thyroid checked? Your thyroid levels?
So because I seen my doctor at the first Monday of the month, so it was like a week or two ago. My thyroid wasn't large. My thyroid wasn't large throughout my pregnancy. Other doctors have said, oh, it's because of the pregnancy. After the pregnancy, it hasn't went down. I actually had an ultrasound done Monday, and I have to go get a biopsy now.
Okay, and have them just keep on top of that, because an inability to regulate your hot and cold could be from thyroid. Thyroid's autoimmune, like type 1 diabetes is. It's not uncommon for a person to have type 1 diabetes and a thyroid issue. So check into that, because maybe that might help you with some of the other with some of the other stuff, especially with the heat. And I know that both my wife and my daughter have hypothyroidism. So there are nights when I get in bed. Like I bought my wife one year as a Christmas present a ceiling fan that runs so fast that it's like a jet engine. And my children, as I'm wrapping it, my kids were like, "You're getting mom a ceiling fan for Christmas, and she's not going to like that as a gift." And I was like, no, you don't understand. Mom's going to love this. And so this thing it makes a turbine of air that it cools the air in the room to the point where sometimes it's hitting me in the face and I'm like, I can't breathe. And I look over at her and she's so happy. Like she's just like, oh, it's nice. Just nice and temperate in here. And I'm like, is it? Because I'm freezing. My nipples feel like they're gonna fall off.
I love the cold. Everybody they're like, oh, our job's so hard when it's cold. It is a little harder, but I will take the cold any day of the week. Then
get your thyroid levels checked while they're doing this other work on you, and keep taking good care of yourself. Like that's, I mean, in the end, that really is going to be your pathway to everything. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if the anxiety, listen, in my opinion, the anxiety should be treated as much with medication as it should be with therapy. I don't know how available therapy is to you, but like there's something
out here. It's horrible.
We'll talk
it's
to the
like
tree or that bird behind you or something like that.
That's sitting out in the woods is pretty much is as good as talking to anybody in this town, to be honest with you. I even had a therapist out here say that the mental health care system out here sucks. Well, that's how bad it is.
So here's an idea. Maybe you could do telemedicine with a therapist that's not in your area.
I have to find one.
That's not a bad idea.
I want to.
Right? Because
it's not a bad idea.
Because if you could find ways to lessen your anxiety aside of medication, that might be a big deal for you. You know, because I'm going back to the Walmart story, and I'm hearing that like, and you said something prior to that I didn't want to skip over, which is you have an anxiety attack, and then not only are you anxious about the thing that made you anxious, you're now anxious about being anxious.
Yeah,
that's screwed up. Like that's not a good, like, do you know what I mean? Like that's difficult in a way that people won't understand if they don't go through it. And I didn't previously understand either. But now it's just coming at you from both sides. And what are you doing? You're telling yourself, don't be anxious. That's not a plan. You know
it's
what I mean?
Pretty much,
right.
pretty much. Right. There's but I've learned DBT skills.
Tell me about that. What does that stand for?
Okay.
You want me to look it up? Because I just lost your audio anyway. So
I don't know.
Let your audio come back and I'll figure it out.
Is it back?
Yeah, you're back. Mindfulness, distress tolerance. Mindfulness can go a long way, but isn't always enough. Diet. Dialectical behavioral
dialectical.
therapy. Why do things have to have, why can't they just say DBT and let it be? DBT refers to dialectical behavioral therapy. It's an approach to therapy that can help you learn to cope with difficult emotions. Today it's used for eating disorders, self-harm, depression, substance use disorders. At its core, DBT helps people build 4 major skills: mindfulness, distress tolerance, interpersonal effectiveness, emotional regulation. It's helping?
Sometimes. So there's like different things like grounding, like if you put your hands on your legs while you're doing stuff, take deep breathing, count. There's another one that if I don't know what it is, but it's like you see 2 things, smell one thing, see a color and something else, and just focus on those to push your mind somewhere else.
Okay.
I can't ground. I tend to kind of dig into myself a lot. So I can't do that. Breathing is my biggest thing. I try to breathe. That day at Walmart, even prior to that day, I was very anxious the whole day. So I was trying to breathe through the day, and Walmart just made it worse. So I learned that, and when I go to see these other doctors, because it literally took me about 5 years to see a psychologist.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's the one that prescribes you medication. And this is actually
a psychiatrist can prescribe medication. Yep.
Yeah. So it took me about 5 years in this area to find one, even after I got out of the eating disorder treatment center. And she was like, I can't help you. You need to get control of your eating disorder first. Well, a little bit.
Like, well, what are you for?
I know. She was like, I can't help you. You need to get control of your eating disorder first. If your primary care is like doing your medication, just have him do it. And he doesn't feel comfortable with it, especially he does substance abuse. So anything that is a narcotic, he doesn't want to give me. So that's kind of hard. And like I said, it took me 5 years to find somebody to talk to them for the first time for an hour to tell me that they could not help me. And I've had a couple doctors tell me that, and that I cried that day. Yeah. And I was kind of a little bit suicidal that day. I was like, I can't do this. I'm never going to be fixed. I said, nobody can help me, blah, blah, blah. And even like, there's a point where my medication, I get to the point where I can tolerate them. And then my anxiety gets a little worse. Mm-hmm. And then I notice it. And then I'm like, I get anxious because my doctor's like, well, maybe you should just deal with your anxiety a little bit. And I don't like that, because once my anxiety starts a little bit, I don't want to go to that dark rabbit hole, which scares me, which causes anxiety. So I don't want to go there. I was very suicidal. I actually tried to do suicide with my insulin several times. Luckily, my ex-fiance knows how to use glucagon and force me sugar things while I'm like almost passed out. So,
and that feeling of being suicidal is just that idea, like, this is never all going to be okay. Like, I can't.
Yeah, like I'm never going to be fixed. Like I'm like there's like, now I'm good. I'm like, all right, our medications are doing pretty good. My doctor's following up with me more. Mm-hmm. I see him about at least every 4 weeks now to make sure that everything's good. So it was good, but between like, I don't know, like I thought nothing was going good. Like I was having a hard time, even if I like was struggling at work, or just like most of it was because my head wasn't straight. And I've been trying for years. Like I've been on medication since I was a kid, and I've been trying for years to get my head straight to the point where everything is okay. And it sucks because this area sucks in mental health. I had a good time getting to where I wanted to be when I was out in Minnesota. My doctor wants me to go back out there, and so doesn't my boyfriend and my ex-fiance. But they said I've been doing good in the last year, so I'm pretty good. But
you had care in Minnesota that was better for you think?
Yeah. Oh, dude. So there was actually eating disorder treatment out here to the point you had to walk to the facility. They had like housing for you. You had to walk to the facility that was like a block away. No, sorry, not a block away, like 8 blocks away. Mm-hmm. And even if it was in the middle of winter, which it gets like negative degrees out here. Yeah. So you had to walk there. Then you're there. And then they had this eating thing. And I noticed that a lot of eating disorder clinics, don't treat all eating disorder. They usually just focus on anorexia. And that sucked because they give you a piece of paper where you had to eat. You had to eat this many fats, this many this, and this many that. The thing is I didn't have a problem eating. And I think a lot of type 1s, like that have diabulimia and stuff like that, a lot of us love it that we can eat anything we want and lose weight at the same time. So literally when it came to eat, I was fine. I ate whatever I want. But the thing is then it got to the point, I remember I was on the couch. It was like a break time. And I was on the couch and I did not feel well. And I did have my pump on me. And I like literally rolled to the floor and I thought I was going to die. And I took some insulin. And then I remember the next morning I had a walk over and then my ketones were super high. And they were going to send me to the emergency room and I said, no, I'm fine. And then they told me, if you don't take your insulin, we're going to have to kick you out. And I'm like, this is why I'm here. I'm struggling to take my insulin because of fear of weight gain and stuff. And you're telling me that if I don't take it, you're going to kick me out. So I actually reached out to the diabulimia page and I called them and they actually found a place with my insurance and stuff. And they got me to Minnesota. The only thing I had to do is find a way to get there. And I got there and that place was amazing. They have a special group for diabetic patients with eating disorders, and they have a mental health care, and they do so much. Like it was the greatest place. Like I couldn't ask for better treatment than anywhere else. And with that said, like they had nurses that give you your insulin, and even if you didn't want to take it all, they would talk to you about it to get you to take it. Yeah. So it was like it was a really good treatment to the point where I was okay taking my insulin again. So that was and the eating thing, it still went towards the people who had anorexia, who are anorexic. And I ate. So I don't know if anybody else, but I heard a lot of people who restrict their insulin and then go back on insulin, they turn into a garbage can. Like they will eat anything and everything in their sight that they can eat because for some reason it's like you starved your body for so much and now it can take all that, all the carbs that it can take that you've been like not giving it. And
so you don't gain a ton of weight right away by re-eating and using your insulin.
No, I did. No, but you turned in a garbage can. Like I wanted fries, I wanted this, I wanted pizza, and it got to the point. So I got to the point where we were all eating around a table. We all ate together, and then I got to a point where when I got done with my plate, I still wanted more. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't normal. So that I was considered an overeater at that point. So it got to the point where they're like, okay, so 1 through 10, how do you feel? 7's where you want to feel. 10 is that you're to a point that you feel like you're at a bust. So it actually got to the point where I was there and I had to tell myself to stop eating because for some reason, I don't know if you ever, like, you know how you get like a chocolate bar and you're like, oh, I just got a little piece and now you want the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So if I went past that part of eating over that 7, like I already ate, I had like a balanced meal. Yeah. I would eat that one little bite and I was like, all right, let's just finish it. So I did come into a conflict what we were all eating, and my therapist said, we'll talk to everybody there, and when you get a 7 you can stop eating. And I remember this girl said, no, you can't stop eating. And I was like, I was told to that I can. And she's like, no, you have to eat all your food. And just Ryan, you already ate my portion size. Like I already ate more than enough. And but they only looked at the people who didn't want to eat, who didn't want to touch their food, who was fearful of their food, to the point where I just wanted to do this. And I remember I shut down for like 3 days. Like I shut right down. Everybody's like, Amy, you're not acting normal. Like what's going on? Like I was quiet. I was like, okay, I'm not going to eat no more. I was like telling myself, just become anorexic. But I did work through it. And then they recognized that. And it was a good thing. But I think you have to be careful when you go to some places because they're not going to focus on what your true eating disorder is, mm-hmm. especially one that has to do with diabetes. But they did really well out there. So,
well, I think that it sounds to me, at least, like you should find even if it has to be through telemedicine, like find somebody who's better equipped to help you. If in your local, your local area, that person doesn't exist, I still think it's good for you to have somebody to talk to, because it sounds like it went much better and you were in a good place there. And this is obviously a maintenance thing. It's not going to, right? It's not going to go away on its own out of nowhere. Like, you're going to have to maintain. And is that the goal, to like someday, like, I wonder did they ever, excuse me, did they ever share with you what your goal should be? Like, what it is you're trying to get to?
Like a weight goal?
No, like a psychological goal, like where
Psychological.
Yeah.
You should be happy with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. But there's days, and I know everybody struggles, and my boyfriend didn't really understand it a lot because he didn't understand suicidal, and I don't think a lot of people do. And I still that's why I'm really open to it. So when people ask me about my cut marks, I tell them about it. And some people are like, oh, why won't you cover them up? And I'm like, because I want to tell them my story. I want them to be educated about this. Same thing with my CGM and my pump. Like, if you ask me about it, I'm going to tell you about it. And my boyfriend is like, oh, people get down all the time. And I used to not believe in depression at all. I really didn't. I just thought if somebody had $1 million, they'd be fine. They'll be okay. You know, if they had their family around them the whole time, if they had what they truly wanted the whole time, they'd be fine. No, I remember I was crying one day and I didn't know why. And Dylan, my ex-fiance, was like, this is depression. And I said, I don't know why. He's like, this is it. And then I realized, okay, I'm depressed. I need to get this treated. Like, I didn't want to take medication for it. I didn't, because I felt like if I did take medication for it, that meant that I was sick. And I wasn't like everybody else. And I'm glad that a lot of people are speaking out from this, from like celebrities all the way down to just me, to say that it's just a chemical imbalance in your brain. It has nothing of being like a sick person. It's just like somebody being diabetic. Something doesn't work, you have to take medication for it. It's not making you any different than what you are.
I agree.
So
I actually think that's a perfect way to end this too, because I was struggling for how to bring this to a close. And I think that's exactly right. Just, you do what you need to do to live your life, and don't, you're not, if your pancreas doesn't work, your pancreas doesn't work. If, and whatever else comes along. But I completely agree with you. Depression, anxiety, those things from the outside can be looked at like they're, like, oh, they're just crazy, but that's just not the case. It's very simple. Like you said, there's an imbalance of chemicals that lead you to feel more strongly about empty shelves than I felt about them. And, and I think a lot of us, in regular everyday life prior to COVID-19 specifically, our lives were pretty comfortable. Like, we had it happened in a certain way. I get up, I do this thing, I have coping mechanisms. And now all of a sudden those coping mechanisms are shot, and visually everything seems different. And you're seeing people reacting to these things differently. And you're right. Somebody has to share what's happening to them so someone else knows. Otherwise, they're going to think they're crazy and not just know that there's help to be had. So I appreciate you doing this very much, especially because you don't listen to. Why are you following me on Instagram, by the way?
Because I follow other type 1 diabetics on Instagram, and then you came up a lot. So I was like, okay, I'll follow this. And I was going to listen to podcasts. I'm a very busy person.
Yeah, I heard you got a lot going on. You got to play football. You got 2 guys you got to talk to, climb a pole.
Very busy person. Like, I've been meaning to, like, there's like other podcasts that I've been meaning to listen to, and I just don't get around to it.
Yeah, this is the most important one. Don't worry about the other ones.
Okay. I'll put this one at the top.
Well, I really appreciate you doing this. I want to thank you, and I'm going to stop for a second, stop recording you, because I want to share with you, what I think might help you a little bit. So, and I've mentioned it here already, but I want to make sure you have the information. So thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Cool. Hold on a second.
It was a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. For me as well. You really are delightful. I hope nothing but the best for you, because I think you deserve it. And not that everybody doesn't, but you've come a long way, and I'd hate to see it. I'd hate to see it not finish for you. Like, I think there's whatever it is you think finishing is, I hope you get to it. I really do.
I'm still looking for that.
I hope you find it. A huge thank you to one of today's sponsors, Gvoke Glucagon. Find out more about Gvoke HypoPen at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. You spell that GVOKEGLUCAGON.com/juicebox. To learn more about the Contour Next One blood glucose meter, check them out at contournext.com/juicebox. Super accurate meter, incredibly easy to use and carry. Really, really, really take a minute to look at it. The website has a ton of stuff, including links to their test strip program, and you may even be eligible for a free meter. I want to thank Amy for coming on the show and for being so incredibly honest, and for just going with it and continuing to tell her story after it became obvious that I didn't even understand a tiny bit about her when I asked her on the show. I really sincerely thought I was just asking somebody who had an incredible weight loss to come on and talk about it. I did not know where any of this was going to go. Thank you so much for listening. If you're enjoying the show, please give it a great rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend. Subscribe in your podcast player. Support the sponsors. Whatever you can do. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, but there are more shows coming in 2020. This show does not stop. Still coming, a great chat I had with Jenny that kind of rounded out the year. We just sort of sat down and talked. I have a Defining Diabetes coming, and I just recorded a show that I think I'm going to launch 2021 with that was really spectacular. I'm super excited to keep bringing you the show. I appreciate everyone's support. I'll talk to you soon.